we're going to see a dot-com bust, and it's going to bring down the equity markets in the United States. It's going to crash. Gold prices are going to keep going up because the U.S. economy and the global economy is going to keep going down. The lower the dollar goes, as the dollar keeps going down, the higher gold prices go. The world has had enough of the United States hegemony, and the death of the dollar is coming.
Don't forget to sign up for a free portfolio review with one of our endorsed investment partners at wealthion.com/free. With markets hitting all-time highs, now is a great time to stress test your strategy and be prepared for what comes next.
Gerald, thank you very much for joining us today. How are things in New York?
Well, it's not the New York that I grew up in. I was just telling my assistant, Jane, how lucky I was to be a Napolitano, born in the Bronx, 1946, right after the war. America was at its height. It was my aunts and uncles, may their souls rest in peace, my parents. They were fun-loving, kind, tough, and caring. And to see the decline of America from what it used to be and what it is, it breaks my heart. As New York's it's not my New York anymore. I was just thinking the other day, I lived in Staten Island, I lived in Queens, grew up in the Bronx, I lived in Manhattan. The only place I didn't live in was Brooklyn, and it was a great place. And it's a crap show. It's a junk shop now. It's drug dealers all over the place, watching people get shot up. I mean, drug scene was going on a long time, but not like it is now, not in front of your eyes. And filth all over the streets. Roads are potholes everywhere. You take the subway in New York, it's a night in Calcutta, all right? So you ask me how New York is.
Sounds very much like Toronto. So you have a very important election coming up, and I want to touch on that later to get your views. But I first want to dive into your latest report. The title of your latest Trends Journal is In Gold We Trust. And gold is up 50% on the year. It was up 25% last year. It looks like it's unstoppable. But I speak to a lot of people on gold and silver. And people are always asking me, is it too late to get in? What are your views on that? Do you think this move that we're seeing right now, is it just starting? Do we have a lot more to go, or are we near the top?
It's a guessing game. I wouldn't have thought gold was gone up this much this year. And again, you go back to our Trends Journal last year in January. Let's go back to September 2023. We had forecast in the Trends Journal that gold had bottomed at $1,850 an ounce. It's September 2023. January 2nd, 2024, we said it would be a golden year for gold. Gold last year went up actually almost 30%. And this year, it's up nearly 60% as we're going right now. As we went on the air, it's $4,262. $4,262 an ounce. I would have never thought it would have gone up this fast. And, I have books, different books. One of them is Trend Tracking, far better than Megatrends, Time Magazine. I write about how I became a political atheist when the Iranian conflict broke out in the late 1970s. They taught us to hate Iran, of course, without telling us how the United States and the CIA and the MI6 overthrow the democratically elected government of Mossadegh because he said the oil belonged to the Iranian people, not Anglo-Iranian oil, better known today as BP, or Standard Oil, better known today as ExxonMobil. Anyway, I said I bet gold and oil prices would go up. And I started playing the futures markets back then. And my first buy of gold was $183 an ounce. So I'm mentioning this because I've been following gold a lot of years. Now, here's what they're saying. They're saying now that gold prices are going up at a rate that they haven't seen since the 1970s. There is absolutely no relationship between then and now. It's a whole different world. You're asking me where gold prices are going. I could see gold prices going to $10,000 an ounce. But remember, there's always a correction. Nothing goes straight up and go straight down. We could see $1,000 correction in gold easily, just like you see what's happening with Bitcoin. It was at $123,000, $124,000 a coin. Now it's down to $10,000. There's always corrections. So let's go back to the facts. You go back to 1978, and this is in this week's Trends Journal in our economic update. This is not the 1970s. Back then, America was we're number one, and quote the exceptionals. Those days are gone. It's a different world. Back in 1978, when gold prices started to spike, America's gross domestic product was around $2.5 trillion. While third world China's gross domestic product, you ready? 150 billion. United States was 2.5 trillion. China, 150 billion. You know what China's is today? Around 20 trillion. You mean it's gone up from 150 billion to 20 trillion. And you take a look at India. It was 137 billion GDP. Now it's over 4 trillion. I'm mentioning this because the BRICS and much of the world has had enough of the United States geopolitical and socioeconomic hegemony. We're not number one anymore. Get this in your head, little boys and girls. You got a country, you just put China and India together. What do you got, 2.8 billion people? Very advanced. Oh, against 347 million people that are getting dumbed down every day? Again, gold prices are going to keep going up because the U.S. economy and the global economy is going to keep going down. All the central banks are going to do everything they can to keep propping it up with artificial money, backed by nothing and printed on nothing. The lower the dollar goes, as the dollar keeps going down, the higher gold prices go. Gold is dollar-based, so when the other currencies go up and the dollar goes down, it's cheaper for them to buy it. So we're going to see more and more gold prices, we believe, go up. And look at the geopolitical conditions. Oh, there was a ceasefire in Israel. Oh, according to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, 54 Palestinians were killed yesterday. No ceasefire. Oh, the Ukraine war? How about you got that little Merz over there? The BlackRock guy. Oh, yeah, Chancellor Merz in Germany. Hey, you like World War I with the Germans? Nah, man, I like World War II better with the Germans. How about World War III with the Germans? We got to build our military up. We are in a recession for 2 years in a row. We're heading into our third, but we said the economy is going to grow 0.2%, maybe. But we're going to borrow $1 trillion to build up our military to fight the Russians. Oh, you only killed 25 million of them in Operation Barbarossa in World War II. We got to kill more. We got to stop those Russians. France, economy's going to crap. The country's going to crap. We may bring troops into Ukraine. When all else fails, they take you to war. That's my greatest fear. There's going to be a false flag event. And if you don't believe me, just look at the facts. Again, when all else fails, they take you to war. Let's go back to the dot-com bust, 2000. We'd forecast in the Trends Journal, when it used to be a quarterly back then, in the autumn, we said it would crash by the second quarter of 2000, which it did. NASDAQ was down 80%. America's in a recession. Little Georgie Bush is president. 9/11 happens. Everybody forgot about the dot-com bust, and 90% of the people swallowed the crap spewed out of that arrogant little nobody's boy, little Georgie Bush. We're going to get that guy Osama bin Laden dead or alive. Oh, yeah, remember that? The Afghan war, the longest war in American history? Oh, another one that we lost? So when all else fails, they take you to war. That's what gold prices, silver prices are going to keep escalating. Again, there's going to be a correction. Nothing goes straight up or straight down. But we don't see this as they're playing back to the 70s to say there was a major correction in the early 80s. This is a different trip. It's a different trip. The world has had enough of the United States hegemony, and the death of the dollar is coming.
And Gerald, when you say $10,000 on gold, what's the time frame associated with that?
It's a long term. Again, you don't know what's going to be played out. A quick story. When I was a kid, my dad, may rest in peace, I'm about 17 years old. He said to me, by the way, you honestly could see this picture. That's one of my books. That's my parents' wedding, 1934. My father worked in a fish store. There were laborers, worked in factories. The Bezos, the Buffetts, the Gates, the Zuckerbergs can't look as good as these people did. That was the America back then. This is my favorite book that I've written, what Zizzy gave Honey Boy. Zizzy's the Neapolitan dialect for auntie. He said, I go over your grandfather's house. I was dating your mother, 1933. And your grandfather's wrapping up all these gold coins. I said, Pop, what are you doing? He said, President Roosevelt wants us to turn into gold, and I'm a true American. I'm turning into gold. My father said, what are you, crazy? Don't turn it in. He said, your grandfather started cursing at me in Italian, turned all his gold in. They forced the people to turn their gold in, and they did it. When they've turned it in, they gave him $20 and about 62 cents an ounce, 1933. Let's go to 1934, a year later. Oh, the Gold Reserve Act. What'd they do? They increased the price of gold after they stole it from the people 70% to $35 an ounce. So going back to where gold's going, let's go back a couple of, January, February. Trump said him and Musk were going to go into Fort Knox to see all the gold that's there. How come they haven't gone there? But they know it's in there. They don't have to go there. They know it's in there. They may come out and say, we got more gold than the rest of the world, and we're increasing the price of gold. They've done it before, and they've done it again, so we can wipe out our huge debt problem. They'll make up anything they want. So that's why we don't know where it's going to go so fast, but it's going to happen. And gold, again, if there were no cryptocurrencies, gold right now would be probably about $6,000 an ounce.
If you're looking for a simple, secure way to invest and own physical gold and silver, visit our sister company, Hard Assets Alliance, at hardassetsalliance.com. That's hardassetsalliance.com.
That's a very good point, because cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in particular, they're stealing a lot of the money away from gold. So you made mention of the 1970s, and I find this interesting because Ray Dalio compares this time period that we're going through right now to the 1970s with debt levels, deficits, et cetera. And when you go back to the early 1970s, Nixon removed the US dollar from the gold standard in August of 71. And then in October of 73, we had the Yom Kippur War. That led to an oil embargo. And later in 74, and we saw the price of oil go from $3 a barrel up to $12 a barrel in a relatively short period of time. And then, of course, that led to stagflation. Do you see a scenario like this happening during this time period that we're living through right now? And I guess I should also make mention, because of the stagflation and inflation, we had the price of gold went from, I can't remember, $100 an ounce up to $850 an ounce.
Let's go back to 1971. I have a photograph of me and John Connally. John Connally was the governor of Texas that sat in front of JFK and took the bullet in the back. Anybody could Google it up, and you could see his wife, Nellie, throw herself on top of him as he goes flying forward. He wanted to meet me in 1992. 2 weeks before the presidential election, Clinton, Ross Perot, and Bush Sr. Because in my book, Trend Tracking, far better than Megatrends, Time Magazine. I had forecast in 1989 there'd be a new third party, and someone like Ross Perot would be the guy. So Connolly wanted to meet me, so I went down to Dallas to meet him. I have a photograph of me, him, and his wife, Nellie, in front of the book depository. Their first time back since the assassination. I'm going to gold. As we're going back into the Anatole Hotel, he said to me, I read your book. He said, it's a fine piece of work, and I know your heart's in the right place. He said, well, you don't have a clue what's going on. Now, remember, this was the Democratic governor of Texas that took the bullet in the back sitting in front of Kennedy. He said, you don't have a clue what's going on, and neither do the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country. He's also the John Connolly that was the Treasury Secretary under Nixon in 1971 that took us off the gold standard. They are not going to be able to pay this debt off. And again, they're making up new crap. Stable coins? Orwell couldn't come up with a better name than that. What are you talking about, stable coins? Why don't you shove this? No, this is going to be the future. Everything's going to go digital. From dirty cash to digital trash. CBDCs are the future. No question about it. The whole world, it's a different world. All AI, high tech. Again, you go out to a bar now, sit next to somebody, they're on their phone. They don't talk to you. Walking down the street, they don't talk to you. The whole world is gone. This is the future. And young people, it's their lives. And by the way, talking with AI, we're forecasting another .com bust. It was in the Trends Journal in January 28th, we'd forecast it. And trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. AI became public only 3 years ago. You don't invest all your money in the infant. And China is going to take over the AI world, as is India. Again, we only look at the facts. I just told you what China's GDP was back in 1978. Look at China. Go pick up the chart. Put China's GDP last 50 years. Not like you look at like from 1970 to 2000. It's like this. They get into the World Trade Organization. Whoosh, shoots up. The West gave China all the high tech and heavy industry capabilities they never had. And now they got it all. You go back to 1980, 2000. Before they came into the World Trade Organization, they officially came in 2 weeks after 9/11. 10% of Chinese 18-year-olds went to college. Now, nearly 70%. Going back to AI, they're going to wipe out the United States in this. There's going to be a .com bust. People well overinvested in trillions of dollars in companies that are losing money in the AI world. And again, the trend has just been born. Like we're old enough to remember when the whole internet revolution began? Was the computers a lot different? You remember, like, you couldn't even do what we're doing now. You couldn't watch a movie. It would go like that. This is the 90s, early 90s. So that's where AI is. And so they've well overinvested. We're going to see a .com bust, and it's going to bring down the equity markets in the United States. It's going to crash it.
Do you have a timeline associated with that? And if so, what would be the catalyst?
It could happen by the end of this year. The catalyst is going to be when China, again, when they're doing it already. They're throwing NVIDIA out one after another. They're doing their own. And again, you got to look at, we look at the data. You have so many young people now playing the markets. When you get all these young people in there playing, it's a gambling game. And with that Magnificent Seven, you know what? You shove it with this Magnificent Seven crap. Where they count for like almost 40% of the market rise. 7 companies. So there's going to be a bust.
And if you compare it to what we saw during the internet bubble of the early 2000s, The NASDAQ pulled back 80%. Do you envision the same sort of thing happening this time to the NASDAQ?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, Asia is going to take over. India and China. They're going to lead the world in this. Again, these are the Chinese have been around a long time, man. These are not stupid people. And it's just, again, we look at it for what it is, not the way you want it to be.
Yeah, I think in the West, we always fail to realize just how forward-thinking the Chinese are, because we've seen this time and time again. And if you look at EVs and lithium-ion batteries, they were working on battery chemistry back in the early 2000s when nobody in the West was doing so. Now they control that. If you're an EV maker and you need a lithium-ion battery, you have to go to China. They control, I think, 80% of that market. And you've also mentioned about AI. Well, what about advanced semiconductor chips? 90% of the production of those chips occurs in Taiwan. What are your thoughts on that? Like, man, if something were to happen to Taiwan tomorrow, like you're talking about this 80% pullback in the NASDAQ or these AI stocks being wiped out, that could be the catalyst right there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that could be. Again, China's going to take back Taiwan. It was part of China for how many centuries, And what the hell business is it of mine? When I say when all else fails, they take you to war. This is from History Today. Mainstream, all right? What was going on in 1941 in America? We were in the Great Depression. You ready? On July 26, 1941, President Franklin Roosevelt seizes all Japanese assets in the United States. You know why? In retaliation for Japanese occupation of French Indochina. Wait a minute. Number one, I'm an American. What do I care about that? Number two, French Indochina? What the hell are the French doing in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam? And you got the nerve to call it French Indochina? Oh, yeah, just like the sun never sets on the British Empire. Oh, we steal, rob, pillage anywhere we want. We're in Algeria. We're in Morocco. We're doing what we want to do. All right, you ready for this? Britain and the Dutch East Indies followed suit. Dutch East Indies? What are the Dutch doing in Indonesia? Oh, the same thing the British are doing and the French are doing. We're stealing, robbing, pillaging, do what the hell we want. The result, Japanese lost access to 3/4 of its overseas trade. Oh, this is a big exporting country, isn't it? They cut off 3/4 of their overseas trade and 88% of its imported oil. They only import 100%. Can't understand why they bombed Pearl Harbor a couple of months later. They don't tell. I didn't know this until 3 years ago. I knew about the oil. I didn't know about them stealing all their money and cutting off all their trade. When all else fails, they take you to war. Again, you can look this up. History Today. Mainstream. And going back to oil, Israel's going to keep ramping up this war as the United States is against Iran. And if they go to war against Iran, these are the Iranians. Persians have been around a long time. There are 91 million versus 7 million in Israel. You don't have to be good at math to figure this out. The Iranians are very advanced scientifically, militarily, and technologically. You got crazy people running the world. And again, I launched a movement called Occupy Peace over a decade ago. I had major peace rallies. Just had one on September 27th with Judge Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Joe Lauria, Dennis Kucinich, Roger Waters did a broadcast. I fight for peace. And again, we're talking about Dutch East Indies and French Indochina. Oh yeah, I grew up during the Vietnam War. We got to stop those commies. If we don't stop them, the dominoes will keep falling. They'll take over all of Asia. Oh, you mean the Vietnamese We killed over 3.5 million, poisoned the place with Agent Orange, as well as almost 60,000 American troops died, about 200, almost 300,000 seriously wounded, and all screwed up with this Agent Orange. Well, that war. And now, just to show you the hypocrisy. By the way, I went to Vietnam with my buddy in 1996. We were among the first Americans they allowed in there, and the people could not have been nicer. They only had one problem. They hated us because we were Americans. I couldn't blame the guy. But anyway, Vietnam now is America's second largest importer. We import more furniture, clothing, and shoes from Vietnam than anywhere else in the world. Hey, wait a minute. They're still a commie country. Yeah, but we're making a lot of money. I'm just talking about the hypocrisy. You go to war against the country, but when you can make money with them, shut the hell up.
Gerald, just because we're on the topic of geopolitics, I want to get your views on Venezuela. The U.S. has destroyed a number of these drug running boats that are, I guess, supposedly coming into the U.S. or toward the U.S. What are your thoughts on that? Is this just the beginning of something that's going to be much larger? Do you think the U.S. actually attacks Venezuela? Do you think there's a regime change?
And here's what you said. Just what you said, drug running boats. How do we know? Oh, I'm telling you, all right? All right, I'm telling you. Hey, they got drugs in there. Hey, our intelligence says so. Show me the proof. Shut the hell up. I don't have to show you any proof. Coming to America? 1,500 miles away from America than when they blew them up? These little speedboats ain't going to make it to America. That's the crap that they're putting out there. Now let's go back to the facts. Go back to your Trends Journal in 2019. Week after week, month after month, and over a year, we wrote about how President Trump tried to overthrow the Maduro government by putting in a little clown boy, Guaido. A little boy of nothing. He's the real president, not that guy Maduro. You think the United States would have invaded Iraq, Syria, and Libya if their major export was broccoli? It's all about oil. Venezuela is one of the richest oil countries in the world. End of story. Has nothing to do with drugs. They're making this crap up, and the people are swallowing it. The people are swallowing it.
They also have a lot of gold.
Yeah.
All right, so let's bring it back closer to home, and I want to get your views on the U.S. economy. Largest economy in the world, representing 30% of global GDP. So what happens in the U.S. has an impact, especially in my country, Canada. But when you look at the numbers, everything looks pretty good. The stock market continues to make all-time highs. The GDP is continuing to grow at 2.5% to 3%. Inflation is resilient. Unemployment rate is hanging around that 4% level. What are your thoughts on the U.S. economy? What concerns you about the U.S. economy?
Again, the rich are getting richer and everybody else is getting poorer. A study just came out. 75% of Americans are very concerned about the rising cost of food prices. Again, again, when I was a young man, there were things called fish stores, hardware stores, grocery stores, drug stores, shoe stores, stores. These called mom and pop stores. Now the chains own everything. Let's look at the facts. Take a look at the housing market. Once upon a time, not too long ago, sales of home, 40% of them used to go to first-time home buyers. That number is now down to 28% and keeps declining. So yeah, America's economy is going up. You ready? Facts. 10% of the retail sales in America excuse, 10, the top 10% are responsible for over 49% of the retail sales in America. 10% taking over 50%. Talk about the equity markets, the 10% own 93% of them. So there's no relationship to Wall Street and Main Street. None at all. Zip. Again, go. It's like you go take, like I said, take the subway in New York. It's a night in Calcutta. Go down to the city. Again, I'm a city guy. It's a joke. Again, yeah, drugs going on a long time over there. I'm not saying it, but you never saw people down in the West Village shooting themselves up right in front of your eyes. Filth all over the streets. And it's not only here, it's all over. I have a friend that lives in Pittsburgh. She can't wait to get out of there. So what's happened to the place? I hear it one after another, people telling us. In a city near them. So the numbers, again, don't reflect the society. No relationship at all.
This October, Wealthion's putting the spotlight on silver with expert interviews, deep analysis, and a special in-depth report from our partners at SCP Resource Finance. To receive this report and other exclusive benefits, you can sign up to become an accredited investor with Wealthion at wealthion.com/accredited or by finding the link in the description below. Speaking of silver, Wealthion will be on the ground in Toronto for the SCP Resource Finance Second Global Silver Conference happening on Thursday, October 23rd. Legendary investor Eric Sprott headlines the event alongside 15 silver mining companies presenting their top projects. It's a must-attend for anyone serious about investing in silver. Tickets both in person and virtual are now available. Find out more in the description below.
I agree with what you said about food inflation. It's just crazy. I used to spend $500 at Costco. Now it's $1,000. It's like the price of every good, service, and asset class has gone up 30, 40, 50% in the last 5 years. I really don't know how people are getting by. It's just crazy. I think the only thing that's saving us right now is the price of oil hanging around the low 60s. But once again, I want to refer back to the 1970s. Can you imagine if we woke up here in the next month or 2 months, the price of oil went from 60 to $120 a barrel or $180 a barrel? Like, just think of the economic destruction that would create.
And that could happen if the United States and Israel attack Iran. And again, the Ukraine war is going to keep ramping up. And that's going to bring up the price of oil again as well. Again, look at oil prices, as you mentioned. What is Brent crude around $62 a barrel? And last year it averaged $80. And the reason is it's the economy. And there's more supply than demand. It's as simple as that. And OPEC keeps pumping out more oil, even though demand is going down because they need the dough. And back, you talked about the Yom Kippur War in 1973, when they cut off the oil, the Arab nations, and oil prices quadrupled. They're not doing it this time because the gang's all in the same. Look what's going on with Trump with his kids. All the dough they're getting from Saudi Arabia, that Jared Kushner, $2 billion for his new company, and they're building Trump Towers in Qatar, UAE, all over the place. So they don't give a damn about the Palestinians. They would have stopped this war when it began 2 years ago. They don't care. They're only interested in making more money. End of story. And by the way, the other word I am sick and tired of hearing, the king of this, the king of that. If they were Italian, you'd call them a mafia. Shove this king crap up your you-know-what. They're murderers and thieves. Oh, the sun never sets on the British Empire. You have to speak properly, and you have to bow down and kiss the little clowns with all their makeup and costume jewelry on that looks like a Halloween show. Shove this king crap up your you-know-what. You're a bunch of murderous SOBs. By their deeds you shall know them. I am sick and damn tired of hearing this royalty crap. Shut up, Celente. You're just a little guinea from the Bronx. All right? And that's how the people follow their politicians. Look at the cover of the Trends Journal a couple of weeks ago. The politicians are the puppeteers and the people are their puppets. We'll do what you want us to do. Yeah. Again, 90% of the people swallow the crap out of little Georgie Bush's mouth. Look at the little Catson Macron over there in France. A little guy with a pecker the size of that if he has one. Telling people what to do. A little jerk over there in the UK, Starmer. A little nothing. Oh, I forgot the guy before him, Boris Johnson. The best cartoonist in the world. Could not come up with a little freakier little jerk than that. It's all over the world. The jerks in a country near you are destroying your life. And if the people don't stand up and fight against it, it's going to be the end of life on earth. They asked this cat by the name of Einstein, who knew a thing or two about the atomic bomb. They said, what kind of weapons will be used to fight the Third World War? He said, I don't know, but they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the fourth.
So you forgot one global leader there, Justin Trudeau.
Trudeau. A little daddy's boy. A little daddy's boy of nothing. Look what he did. Remember what he did to the truckers? Oh, I forgot that one. The emergency law. Oh, yeah. Destroyed the economy. I remember that little jerk, the health minister. Oh, what does she say? Don't have sex or something? Oh, that one? Yeah. Look at the little one jerk after another. Making up this crap. And don't forget, when you masturbate, you better sanitize your hands. And don't forget to wear these masks. Oh, yeah. Remember everybody wearing the masks? The mask? Yeah, the masks, right? The masks? Yeah, the masks. These masks do not eliminate exposure to the risk of any disease or infection. I don't care. I'm your politician. You do what I tell you to do. All over the world. They destroy, again, the inflation. How come you got that high inflation rate? Because they locked down the world, brought interest rates down to nothing, and pumped in trillions and trillions of dollars of money backed by nothing and printed on nothing. Stay home. Here's money. Yeah. Oh, and here's billions for the big companies, the airline. Yeah. Oh, it's not inflation. Ask little Jerome Powell. It's only temporary. It's only transitory. Oh, the prices of a home's only gone up 50% since then. Automobile, that's only 10,000 more than it was back then. He's a little boy of nothing, an arrogant daddy's boy. And who's his daddy? I don't know. They say somebody else maybe. Yeah, a little arrogant piece of scum like all of the rest. A nobody. But the people obey. Do what you're told. You're still in kindergarten.
Yeah, as a Canadian, I have to say that time in February of 2022 was probably one of the darkest times in the history of this country. Never in 1,000 years did I ever think I would see something like that happen. And just as a reminder to our viewers, these were tax-paying citizens that were just out protesting the idiotic policies of our government. They wanted to go back to work and they didn't want any inhibitions in doing so, like wearing a mask or whatever. They just wanted to get back to work.
They didn't want to get vaccinated.
Money and provide for their families.
They didn't want to get the Operation Warp Speed COVID jab. They didn't want to take the jab. If you came across the border, you had to get vaccinated. They didn't want it. You had to drive. I don't want to get vaccinated. Who the hell are you to say not to get vaccinated? I get paid off by the drug dealers that morons and imbeciles call Big Pharma. Oh, and to make this 1,000% clear, this is one of the first books I worked on back in the 1980s, Natural Healing. All right? I have an honorary doctorate from the National University of Health Sciences. You're not allowed to talk about natural healing. You're only allowed to take the jab. Oh, how much did that Burrell clown make at that Pfizer? What did they make? Like 30 billion, 40 billion, 100 billions that they made? Operation, first gene therapy inoculation ever injected into a human being. You do what you're told. How about that little cazzone over there in California, Gavin Newsom? This guy is going to run for the next president of the Democratic Party. You can't go to the beach. You got to get jabbed. Stay home while he's having a party at the French Laundry up in Napa Valley it's only a little over $400 a plate. Oh, we could party all we want. You're just a plantation worker of Slavelandia. You do what I tell you.
Well, you mentioned the state of California. I don't know if you knew this, Gerald, but I'm in Toronto, the province of Ontario. We had the longest lockdowns in North America, even longer than the state of California. So that's telling you something.
Yep. Made up crap.
All right.
Made up crap.
Crazy times.
And again, I only go by the data. Just to let me make this clear. The World Health Organization called it a pandemic, which people now still call it, on March 11th, 2020, when the grand total of 4,291 people died out of 8 billion. The cover of our Trends Journal magazine, January 28th, COVID was launched in China on the Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the rat. 2 weeks later, the cover of our magazine, it's all big news, right? That China had COVID. 106 dead in China. Coronavirus. 106 dead in China. Next line. 1.4 billion still alive. Why are you telling me this crap for? The people dying, Italy was the second country to lock down. The average age of the people dying in Italy, 81 years old. When did it hit America? Oh, Kirkland, Washington. Kirkland, Washington. What's an old age home in Kirkland, Washington? Oh, yeah. There are 74 million 1 to 17-year-olds in America. They made all the kids get out of school and stay home. Google it up. The CDC stopped doing the data in June of 2023. From January 20 to June 2023, out of 74 million, 1,921 1 to 17-year-olds died of COVID. And according to the CDC, 61% of those hospitalized were obese.
Yeah, it was certainly
people that died
times.
of COVID had 2.6 pre-existing comorbidities.
All right, Gerald, we got to move on now. I want to ask you about New York City. We got a very important election coming up here in a few weeks. What are your thoughts?
As a trend forecaster, again, it's not what you like, what you want. It's what is, and you have to learn all about it. This is unprecedented what's going on. It's a little boy of nothing, 33 years old. We've all been around 33 years. You're just starting to grow up. He's a good actor. And by the way, we own the trademark presidential reality show. Took that out when Trump ran in 2016. That's all it is. It's so important that this guy is leading the way he is. And again, we read every article that we can all about this election. One of the reasons why he's winning, he's getting a lot of young voters. Look what's going on, for example, in Nepal, in Kathmandu. They're bombing young people, Gen Z, Madagascar, Gen Z. They have no life. They have no future. And he's promising them a free ride on the bus and this and that. Most important, when Cuomo ran on the primaries, Andy Cuomo, that little spoiled daddy's boy, he spent $17 million on advertising. Mandami spent hardly anything. But you know how he got it? Social media. And kept reading, want to find out. A young woman, 28 years old, in Brooklyn, does a social media stuff. Remember what I said about AI, love it, hate it, high tech, it's the future? This is the future. It's a social media future. And you could win them over like that. People don't read anymore. Remember when we were kids, there were newspaper stands? Gone. They're gone. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution stopped printing their newspapers. It's only digital now. Yeah. It's one after another. So it's very important. He's winning because the people are doing so bad. Now, this is New York City. We're not talking about Columbus, Ohio. We're talking about one of the top cities in the world. And you got a little boy of nothing that's leading the race over here. He's up by, as we're speaking, the latest data by 12 percentage points over Cuomo. And Curtis Sliwa only has like 15% on the Republican side. So it's very important because it's showing you the distress that the people are in.
And what do you think happens to New York City if he becomes the new mayor?
Yeah, look at the clown boy they got in there now. Adams. Look at the jerk before him, de Blasio. It's one clown after another. My buddy just called me yesterday. I was doing a show with Daniela Gamboni, and they asked me about the same thing about New York City. And I said, what the clowns there? We're in Central Park, and it was a beautiful, beautiful summer day, and blankets all over, and they were doing live music, classical music, and blankets all over. And Ed Koch, the mayor at the time, walking on everybody's blanket, coming around, walks across our blanket. Hey, I'm Mayor Koch. He's bending over, and I start yelling out, Look at the mayor's ass. Look at his pants are hanging down below his ass. Look at the mayor's ass. The mayor is an ass. Look at his ass. The guy comes over. You shut your mouth. I said, no, you get that guy off my blanket. Who the hell are you people to do this? Get the hell out of here. All right? And by the way, I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I used to work on major political campaigns in Westchester County. I designed and instructed the course American Politics and Campaign Technology, how to run political campaigns, and I taught it at St. John's University. I have a photograph of me and Ronald Reagan when I put on a brunch for 16 of our board of directors when I was the number 2 guy running a trade association. I was on the other side. You call these guys out man to man. As we'd say in the Bronx, they don't know whether to piss or shit. When I told that guy, stood up, I said, you get the hell off my blanket. Who the hell are you to be here? Hey, don't talk to me like that. Get off here. All right? The people lost their guts. They're gutless. So you're asking about the mayor. One jerk after another. Oh, I forgot about, Giuliani. Look at the clown. Look at these clowns.
Kind of reminds me of the city of Toronto. You wouldn't believe some of the mayors we have here. I think we could give New York a good run for its money.
Yeah.
So
again, they're
Gerald,
pieces of crap. Go on.
In the last few minutes, so it sounds like you have a lot of concerns about the U.S. economy and the global economy. And you also made mention of the fact that you think AI is a massive bubble. It's going to take the S&P and the NASDAQ down significantly. What advice or what suggestions would you have for individuals? How should they prepare themselves under such a scenario?
How to prepare yourself. You got to get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Simple as that. If you're not in good shape and good health, and you got to keep learning and learning and learning and reading and reading and reading. When I was a kid, about 14 years old, sitting in the back seat of the car, my father's driving. I started repeating the things I heard on the news. He turns around, he said to me in Italian, Papagallo, parrot. Stop repeating what everybody else is saying and think for yourself. And I realized, he said that to me a dozen times, I realized before I said something, I better have the facts. And that's what people need to do. And of course, we're doing that with the magazine, the Trends Journal. On a high note, if you call yourself a Republican, a Democrat, or whatever country you believe in, any politician, a liberal, a conservative, grow up. Grow up. How about calling yourself an open-minded person? And that's what you have to be. You have to think for yourself, and you got to keep learning. And again, I'm very bullish on, I'm bullish on the cryptocurrencies because the Trump team is in it. Again, go back to the 2021, 2020. Trump made fun of Bitcoin, destroying the dollar. It's a fraud, but now his kids are in it. Witkoff, Jerkoff, Lutnick's kids, the cabinet members, his kids are in it. It's going to keep going up. They're going to keep making money. They're going to do everything they can to keep pushing the prices up. So you don't look at it long term. Nothing goes straight up or straight down. So we're bullish on Bitcoin and we're bullish on gold and silver, but we don't tell people what to do. Again, the motto of the magazine is think for yourself, but that's the way we see it. And again, we don't know what's going to happen with the Israel war. If they keep ramping up against Iran, the whole game changes. You'll see, like you said, oil will go up like $120 a barrel, destroy the global economy. Destroy it. And the same thing with the Ukraine war. There's going to be a false flag event, just like I read to you about Pearl Harbor. They pushed the Japanese into doing it, cutting off 3/4 of their trade and 88% of their oil. There'll be a false flag event, just like 9/11. Again, everybody forgot about the .com bust. Hey, you don't have a job? You out of work? You deep in debt? Hey, don't worry about it. Slide over here. You got a subprime mortgage.
Well, Gerald, this has been a great discussion, and I want to thank you very much for spending time with us today and sharing your thoughts on the economy and the stock market and also Bitcoin and gold. If someone would like to learn more about you and your services and find out more about the Trends Journal, where can they go?
Trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. And again, it's over 200 pages a week, from high-tech science, technocracy, AI, geopolitics, economics, on and on and on. And it's only, again, $2.59 a week. A week. Here, this
Price
is
of
so
a cup
important.
of coffee.
You ready for this? Go Google up CNBC.com. Not one major story about gold. Go to yesterday's Wall Street Journal, $5 a day. Not one mention about the price of gold that we saw. No major stories. Maybe they mention it in a paragraph here or there. And again, we've been writing in the Trends Journal. When gold has been spiking up until a couple of weeks ago, zero coverage. Couldn't find a word about it. They don't want the people to know how bad things are going. That's why they're not reporting on it.
And Gerald, you're also very active on Twitter. What's your handle?
Gerald Celente.
I'm a follower, by the way. Well, listen, once again, Gerald, I want to thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you do.
Don't forget to sign up for a free portfolio review with one of our endorsed investment partners at wealthion.com/free. With markets hitting all-time highs, now is a great time to stress test your strategy and be prepared for what comes next. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again next time.